You or someone you know may be thinking about detransition. Yeah, I detransition. This was me many years ago. Not bad, not bad. I looked alright, I looked cute, but I wasn't happy. Um, I felt like my life had a little bit more meaning and that it was something that I wasn't doing right. Like even from beginning, I felt like for me, you know how there are some trans women who, you know what I'm saying, you'll see and they'll say, I feel like I was born this way and God made a mistake or I'm trapped in the wrong body. Me, I never felt like that. Being trans was an option for me. It was like, okay, I do feel extra feminine and I do have these qualities and these ways and different interests that make me different from the typical boy. Like I didn't know growing up around toxic masculinity within the African American community. I thought that it was just certain things that a man had to be. Feeling some attraction to the same sex that I was born added added onto it. You know what I'm saying? Like even though sexual identity and gender identity or sexual orientation and gender identity are not the same, but sometimes we confuse them and we piggyback off one of them for the other. When the thought of detransition came to mind, I had to realize that it was even possible because I didn't know anyone else who did it. So I had to find out how I could go from this to this. For me, the first step was meditation and prayer. Prayer first, and kind of just evaluating and seeing what I needed to do. I had to pray and search for the answer because I never knew anyone who did it at this time. This was about 5 years ago. My second step was testing the water and getting a haircut because I had lived my life that way for so long. I didn't even know if it was possible, and I didn't want to look like a clown or a freak of nature. I didn't know what I would turn out to look like. I tested the water. I never forget going into a barbershop for the first time. It was testing my realness, seeing if I would be accepted into the world. Like I was passable. I got through as a girl, but now it was time to see whether or not I could. After I got my hair cut, I knew that my face was good and that I was passable from the neck up. That was only half of the battle, being as though I was extra, extra busty. So I went from this to this. Luckily, I was one of the ones who had implants. So getting them removed and getting a double mastectomy and getting my skin tightened up, although it was very expensive, it wasn't that hard. It wasn't that painful either. The rest of my journey was more mental. It was more fitting into society. I lived my life as a woman for 14 years. So I studied and worked on how to be passable, how to be feminine, how to be accepted by the world as a woman, what hand gestures and mannerisms to make, what expressions, what stance. All this stuff I studied and practiced and practiced and practiced, man, practice. So if you're out there and you're thinking about detransition, the first thing I would say to you is, number one, pray, meditate, look within. The answer lies within you. There's always going to be signs and there's always going to be little things that tell you, you know what I mean? You got to hear that voice and you have to know, you know what I'm saying? And number two, after that is don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of whatever your decision, whatever, after you meditate and after you pray and whatever the conclusion is, you got to be able to stand up. Like it take a lot of guts to transition. Remember that. Like it took a lot for you to go against what the world said and be this strong, beautiful person now that you don't want to be that person anymore, it doesn't even take as much strength to just be your regular self again. Remember that, like, all you're doing is just being yourself. It's okay to say, I fucked up. It's okay to say, I need a do-over. It's okay to say, I need this time for me. Nextly, find somebody to talk to. I went through my whole detransition with nobody to talk to because I felt like everybody was against what I was doing, or either that or they couldn't understand where I was coming from and never, ever, ever would get it and understand. And I was embarrassed because I brought this onto myself. So talk to somebody. If you need me, my IG is Lamont'e _ Michaels, LAMONTE _ MICHAELS. I'm here.